So Jeremiah will be out tonight, so I'll be handling the agenda. Pam Walter will be here soon. Apparently she's delayed a little bit. And Troy, we're not quite sure about, so we'll just see. Okay. All right, community comments for non-agenda items.
Way to go, Jacki.
Speech. Okay. Kelly.
Well, I think we
Minutes.
have to hold off until
Hold
we have
off.
more people.
Okay.
Did everybody get to read them?
I didn't get a chance.
Okay, then, sorry, we'll have to do them.
So we want to just table them for the next
Yeah.
meeting?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Treasurer report we'll skip over until Pam gets here. Deputy Martinez.
So where you line up for your autograph, or is it afterwards? I got my copy of the card. All right, so we're doing excellent, even though it's only 2 days in. We still have 0 Part 1 crimes. But I believe in November I didn't get to do it because we had the Edison, so that skips. I'll do November's as well. We had 10 total. Looks like 1 robbery, which was at AM PM, legit robbery that, unfortunately, that did have a firearm and everything, wasn't a local or anything. Took $400. They're working on it. There was 5 AM PMs that got hit that day. Similar description of the person, vehicle, and everything, so they're all going to be connected, and it's all the way from Long Beach up here. So probably see which ones are the closest to the freeway kind of thing. And then we had 4 residential burglaries, and they were all, sorry, sometimes it's hard to read. Day unknown or no force, so the doors left unlocked, that kind of thing. And the rest were thefts. Whoop. So 2 thefts from an automobile. That's it. Anything for me?
Any questions for the deputy?
I like it.
Oh, actually, I'm sorry, I have a quick question. At the PPSO meeting this morning, we had Kelly Jensen from the school board there along with Superintendent King. And they talked about their new plan, I can't remember what they call it.
Strategic planning.
Thank you. And an element of it is safety, and I asked if, last year parents had been told they were going to be doing some ALICE training at the high school, and I asked about the status of that today because it had just come on the heels of Saugus, and
Right. So
they indicated that they really wanted to coordinate and work with the county on that. So I guess I'm going to throw it to you. Do you know if are you guys working with them?
So I have a meeting today, the first Monday of every month with superintendent, and then we have a quarterly meeting with all like the heads of the safety. From what I understand from the principals and stuff, Dan was big on the ALICE training, and now they're going, and all the teachers got trained on that, but now they might go to a different kind of training. Ultimately, we've reviewed the school safety plans. Some adjustments have been made, not so much on the active shooter side or anything like that, but on the earthquake side, we came across some like evacuation routes that went over gas lines and stuff. So we're like, yeah, maybe we need to make these kids walk a little further, that kind of thing. So they're all up to date and current as of like last month. We walked through everything. After the Saugus incident, we had a couple threats that were investigated. They weren't credible. We had extra presence every day at all the schools. I know that High Desert, we are at the cusp, I believe, that we're getting more kids that we 5150 out of there. We're going to have an on-site counselor, like specifically for that.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So I think we're at 8 or 9. I think getting more like the school board has to have someone on site for that at that point for the school year. So I mean, it's kind of like an evolving thing all the time. But I will tell you that all the principals are very engaged. They communicate with us as quickly as possible. Doesn't matter if it's off hours or whatever for any of the school threats and stuff. It gets investigated immediately. It's not, hey, parents see something on Snapchat or something and they can screenshot. It's not like it waits.
No.
And we even call in some of the other school resource officers for that kind of stuff.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm sure that everything gets investigated. I ask because there are students or residents of in this town whose kids go to Saugus. And our neighbor, their 2 boys go there. Their youngest son was 10 feet from the shooter. He just happened to be, his back was to him, so he didn't see him. But, so, you know, it's we've had discussions in my house with people who were there at the time. So it's a very real issue for us. And I understand that Saugus literally just had their I know the correct term is not active shooter, but it's not Alice, whatever you want to call it, that type of drill. So I'm actually really looking forward to having the high school students have some sort of active thing, whatever, Alice, active shooter, whatever you call it, so that they can sort of run through the motions a little bit.
Right.
So.
With Dan, we had something in the pipeline, and then obviously the change of regime.
Right.
We haven't scheduled anything current, but it is being engaged. I know they're also looking to upgrade the security at all the schools, like buzzing in, they just put in the Raptor system, where you have to, get your ID scan and everything. But they're looking at more like a low-cost kind of thing, like having it where you have a Ring doorbell, you get buzzed in, they can see you. You know, the door, you can't just have free access in. There's like a fine line. Used to be that, you know, back in the day, these incidents were outsiders, you know, that had no affiliation with school would come in. That unfortunately is not the case anymore. As a student, you know, I'm never going to stop everybody short of spending millions of dollars and having metal detectors and armed security guards, clear backpacks. You know, like that's the route that you limit significantly if anything happened.
That's why reaction's important.
Right, exactly. And I know the school board approved through our department to buy controlled bleed kits, which would go with the defibrillators, and it's like 30 tourniquets and quick clot and other stuff for mass hemorrhaging, which it's not cheap, but I was very pleased that there was no pushback. That was like, yeah, that's something we need, we should get that. And, so we were able to contract with some medical companies and get a significant discount for them. But that's what we carry. Like when we respond, our charges have like kits like literally with 50, you know, we have 50 people down, we can treat at least 1 gunshot in every single one. So.
There have not been any threats here, credible or otherwise, in this district.
Yes, there has.
There have.
None of them have been credible.
Sorry?
None of them have been credible. I don't understand why kids think it's cool nowadays to do it, but we usually get 1 a month. You know.
At one particular school or another, or
Every single one.
Pardon?
All of them.
All of them.
Yeah. Not like 1 for each one, but on average, like 1 between the 3. You know, and Palmdale gets them every other day.
So are we talking about kids just
Kids think
trying
it's
to
funny.
get some reaction?
Kids think it's funny. That's it.
Can't trace them?
No, you can. We end up usually talking to them and stuff. That's when if we are not confident that there's no threat, that's when the mass push system, text messages and emails goes out to the parents saying, hey, we're advising you that this is what we got. We weren't able to evaluate any further. We don't have any like yes or no on it, but it's up to you whether or not you're going to keep little Johnny home from school today. When we are able to either make an arrest and realize that little Johnny has absolutely zero access to anything, and he's just making it up because he thought he wanted some attention. We either 5150 him and take him downtown for a mental evaluation, or sometimes they are criminally charged, or depending on what the school board wants to do. And then go that route. There's no credit, no credible threat. No one knows. But it happens. Yeah.
It's very important.
What's the source, Jen? Is it just on social media?
Social media,
Yeah.
mostly, like 99% of it.
And who reports it?
Other kids report it. They've kind of very much streamlined reporting. I know a lot of the teachers have a very good open relationship, but they also have I think it's Remind or something, some sort of app that the students can text to the counselors and the teachers, and they're able to like say, hey, Troy, acting kind of weird, and they can send it, and
They wouldn't be surprised.
and so that way they're not seen going to the principal's office and be the tattletale. they've actually done a very good job to be able to report and being not held anonymously, but not seen, seen as a tattletale or being able to reach out. So which is, I think, very good. That's probably why we get so many too, because everyone tells everybody.
So there's a special app that all the kids have access to?
Yeah, if they have the fund, they update, but yeah.
Thank you very much.
Acton State Unified School District Superintendent Report. So the school district reached out to us and said the superintendent would like to come on a regular basis and talk to the community and kind of give us the state of the district. I'm not sure why he didn't show up today, because this was the first Monday and this is when we're supposed to have it, but next month, on the next first Monday of the month, we'll make sure that the superintendent is here. I think that'll be helpful to line you two guys up to as well on the same day. And if there's questions about school security or procedures, we'll have both the sheriff and the superintendent here.
So this will be like a standing item?
This will be a standing
He can't
item.
always make it, but he's going to try.
Correct.
Okay, gotcha.
So there's no superintendent report for tonight. Okay. Library report, Mr. Wall.
Hello, everybody. A few little things, nothing much this month. First, just holiday closures coming up. Rather predictable, but Christmas, December 25th, and New Year's Day, January 1st. The library will be closed. Tuesday, December 24th, Christmas Eve, and December 31st, New Year's Eve. The library will be closing early at 5 p.m. those nights. And then just a few upcoming programs. We've got our annual gingerbread house program. This coming Saturday, December 7th at noon. This room will be overtaken by frosting and sugar and graham crackers and some more sugar. Yay! The children will go home with heavily sugared. Should be fun. It's always fun. We do have a blood drive coming up Friday, December 27th, a couple days after Christmas, but they're still successful around that time, and that's when the Red Cross can get here. So plenty of appointments available. You can log online or give me a call. I can make you an appointment, and we'll get you in. Rumor has it you get a free long sleeve t-shirt if you donate, so just throw that out there. And then the last thing I'll mention is on Monday, 1 week from tonight, in this very room, I'll have the U.S. Census folks here. They're going to be here talking about the upcoming census, things to expect from it, here to answer any questions you may have about it, and then also help explain future employment opportunities with the Census Department conducting their door knocking or whatever jobs they may have available. So that'll be next Monday, 5 to 6 p.m. in here. And unless there's any other questions, that's what I've got. All right, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 8, Welcome to Acton signs. Mr. Aidin Vidic.
Hello, I'm here mainly to ask the town council, would you guys like to have your logos on the bottom, your logo on the bottom of the sign? It is an area where we're going to put nonprofit logos, and I'm asking you guys, would you guys like it? And if so, I need the artwork. Yeah, artwork.
Okay.
And does it cost anything?
No, it does not, and yeah, it does not cost anything.
Are you putting the signs together, the logo pictures, or?
No, I'm not. The county is.
Oh, so that's very nice. They volunteered to do that.
You want to just give us an update on the project in general?
Yeah, I was going to do that too. The only like redesign was there's going to be a metal not really, like a board, I guess you could say, on the back for support, just to help keep the boards more in line and more stable, I guess you could say. And other than that, that's about it.
So you're still doing the project the same with the wood
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
front and everything? Okay, very good.
So last I remember, the county was saying that they wanted to be all metal, and we said, no, it has to be something that the scouts can do themselves, correct?
Yes.
So we have the wood fascia again?
Yes.
Okay,
Good.
okay.
Yeah, the town council, he asked for help, so we stepped in, and the county, the whole issue was resolved about 6 weeks ago, when the county said that, okay, fine, we'll let you still have to do our metal sign, but we will allow you to put thin metal, wood veneer, and I think 1/2-inch cedar planks on it with the signal, with the sign, with the message routed into it. And they, some interesting things, because I was part of those conversations, because I was trying to break the law down. And they suggested that we not put a metal horse figure on it or a metal letters, because they probably will get stolen. And I was told that that's what happened to the park, that the letters are stolen. So I discussed it with Aidin, and we came up with an idea of, that it was going to be black metal anyway. So we thought, why don't we just burn it into the wood black? So we'll have the same picture. It just won't be anything that somebody can see.
Still, very good.
And we can do the same with the horseshoe. So it's kind of like a brand, but anyway, I thought that was a good idea, so.
So just as a consensus, I'm pretty sure we want to have
I
our
think we want to.
logo hanging, right?
Yes.
What other logos will be hanging on the sign?
Well, I have gotten back, I've offered 9 different nonprofits in our local area.
I mean, community benefit organizations.
Yeah, community benefit nonprofit. I've offered 9 of them. 2 have gotten back to me. I need to check my email, make sure if they haven't gotten back to me recently. And you guys would, I guess, be the 3rd.
Okay.
So.
Very good.
All right. Everybody in agreement?
Yes.
Okay, I think we're in.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Can I just ask where the sign's going?
Yes.
Oh, there's down Sierra Highway in between Acton and Agua Dulce, and in between Acton and Lancaster. And then there's going to be a 3rd one down, I forgot the road, Soledad. It's going to be in between Acton and, I guess, Santa Clarita. So, right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Abe. So I will email you the artwork then.
You have the artwork?
Well, it's well, maybe we should talk about
My
that. I
question
assumed
was-
it would be our,
I'm assuming it's our logo.
yeah.
We have
that-
all those
That
logos.
Ruthie's daughter made up for us.
Yeah.
All right.
That's such a cool logo, though.
Don't we have more than, we have the one that we chose, so I think just use that one.
It's very
It's on her
cool.
letterhead, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. Now, are these round or square? These
Round.
plates, okay, all right,
Okay.
so.
And they're going to be hanging on chains or
No, they're going to be bolted in.
bolted on? Okay.
Bolted
On a metal support bar on the
Oh,
bottom.
okay.
And I think you talked to Lions Club, the Women's
Yes,
Club.
yes, yeah. I
Rusty
talked to 9
Scouts, yeah.
different organizations.
Very good.
Okay. If you can't find what we need.
I had to
You-
put it on all our letters, so if I have.
You have it already? Okay.
Yeah. The artwork she wanted,
Well, she didn't say PDF specifically, so.
well, I can reach out to her. I can
Sure,
turn that
that'd be
into a
good.
thing.
I think there's a folder on the email server, like all that stuff.
It probably is.
So,
Yeah.
okay.
All right, I will send that to you.
Good, thank you, Aiden.
When are the signs going up, do you think? Just curious.
Well, I am hoping to build them within the next 2 months.
Okay.
And
Well, your
then-
wood has to dry first, right?
Yes, I do need to do that. That's gonna take about a month. And then I don't know how long it's gonna take for the county to put them in, because they're the ones actually putting it on the side of the road. I'm just building it, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, we're getting close.
Very good.
I did, when I was talking with Ms. Chimienti from the Public Works Department, she asked if it would be possible she invited all the scouts from his troop to come watch the logo signs being made, which I thought was really generous. And also, she asked to sort of, if people from the community wanted to come, or some of the organizations, they'd like to do a sort of promotional video out of it. It's for the county's benefit, right? Because the county's doing a lot for us. And I thought that was, you know, a great idea. So when the time comes to that, you know, he's still getting the artwork, but we can put all that together. So
Yeah.
probably after the beginning of the year, because things are crazy now. So.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
You'll do.
Exactly.
All right, agenda item number 9, restricted equestrian use in Angeles National Forest. So I know you're working on it, Jacki. You want to just real quickly recap why this is kind of different than the SCA, where
Sure.
it actually is affecting people?
In this circumstance, we had somebody come to speak in public comment about a restriction on some property in Angeles Forest Highway that prohibited any horses anywhere on the property. And it's right in the middle of, you know, horse country in Angeles Forest Highway. So they're hamstrung with what they can do with their property. So we agreed to look into it. And I had actually asked to have this put on the agenda at the last meeting. Because at that point, I was about halfway through with all the data I had gathered when I went down to Los Angeles with Becca and Bonnie. But unfortunately, I didn't get much further. I'm now about 2/3 of the way through because the other issue came up with the CSDs and the trails, which bumped all my time the week before Thanksgiving. So I'm not ready to to go forward on this, and I apologize for that. So I'm hoping we can push this to the next meeting. But we had agreed to try to work with the county to come up with some sort of alternative to allow the county to get what they wanted, the biologists. The whole issue was to preserve something called the Great Western Sage, I think is some Artemisia Latin word. But it turns out there's like only one clump of it on one far corner of the property. It's like a 20-acre parcel. And because of that that structure there, and because the county came out with a report in 1979, there was many decades ago that said that horses and children were very bad for the biological resources in the area, and it says it straight up, I can read it, that this restriction was placed on this property. Now this is before, the new SCA ordinance, or even the old SCA ordinance was written. It goes way back deep in the last century. So hopefully we'll come up with some sort of alternative that will allow equestrians on an ag zone property in areas that they want to preserve vegetation. It sounds like the property owner's fine with preserving, literally 80% of it or whatever it is the county's asking for, but just to allow them to have horses in the parks that's not preserved. So,
Do you know what prompted the biological review in the first place? Because it sounds like somebody had to go out and look at it to make this determination.
from what I can tell, there was a subdivision, and so that's what's so crazy about it. In the subdivision that was proposed and approved, all the developable lots were down in the drainage, which the county is now saying that's what we want to preserve. So when the person came to try to build their home, that was the difficulty. It's like, well, you've approved the map for these places. Now you're telling me I can't build in these places because that's the drainage where you want to preserve. And I have no problem with that, but you have to be able to let me do something on the other parts where it's now prohibited because of, so it seems it was a subdivision action at the very beginning, sometime in the 70s or early 80s. So, reasonable people should be able to come to a reasonable solution that achieves the biological protection goals that they want to achieve. According to Becca and Bonnie, the property owner has asked several times for the county to reconsider this, and most recently, just a few months ago, the county said, no, I think we're happy with it. Because it basically lets the property owner do nothing with the property, so it's kind of disturbing, I was interested in pursuing the issue because just on its face, telling people in Acton that they can't have horses anywhere on their property when all the surrounding properties have horses just goes against the grain, and it's just not something that we really need to, we need to work towards a better solution than that, I think, so, anyway. So that's what that, and I apologize, but barring other things coming up, I'd like to be able to put this and talk about it on, and Becca's not here, and she wasn't at the PTSO meeting today, so I wasn't able to talk to her, although I said in the email I would, but I didn't know she would be there, so that's okay.
We want that on the next agenda.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
Is that possible?
Are these in the SCA?
Yes.
So they're good. A double whammy.
Oh, I don't even want to, there are no words to describe their situation. No clean and decent words anyway.
Officer elections, so I guess we were supposed to have an officer election based on bylaws and the, but we don't have Pam.
We don't have Pam here.
We can always appoint
We can do it, we can do it next time.
Yeah.
We can make a motion to keep everybody exactly the same.
If you don't show up, you get all the jobs.
You get all the jobs if you're not here. The
I
other,
wouldn't have Jeremiah either, so let's,
yeah, let's put
Just
it off
table
till
it?
the next
Yeah.
one. But I want to say one more thing right there. We need to go on and announce our open seat.
okay.
I don't think Lillian has had it in the paper, is that correct? Yeah.
We have
On
asked her.
on the council's request. No.
Yeah, so we need to put that back in, that we have an open seat, I think.
Okay.
Everybody okay with that?
Yes,
ma'am.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do we need to send you a copy?
Only if you don't want me to write something, if you have something.
No, well, I don't-
You're welcome.
If we could use what we used before, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
It's very simple,
Yes.
that the council has an open seat and then
And,
a volunteer who
Yeah.
has to,
I just want to make sure I don't have to write anything.
it's all right, I'll take care of
Because
it.
I'm already behind on the correspondence on I have not written the letter yet on, I guess we're following.
There's no deadline
we need to,
on an open
There
seat?
can't, no.
So you just say open seat, no
Open
deadline?
seat, well, there'll be a deadline when we come up to
next election.
election cycle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, once we get into our election cycle, which I believe starts in August, we wouldn't place anybody on the
Okay,
council during that
So
time.
it'll be placement by appointment.
okay.
Hopefully, somebody will come
Come
on
forward.
Hopefully.
It's a really easy job.
Sure it is.
You're so funny.
You're a great.
I said that with no sarcasm in my voice.
So we can just table this, or do we actually have to do a motion?
I'll move that we table it,
What?
Okay.
just to
Jacki
be on the
moves that we
safe.
table it?
Yeah. The election.
The election, yeah.
All right, second. Do we have a quorum? 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
4, yeah, okay. Second, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, good. So, all right, announcement and correspondence. We just tabled it to next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
I didn't know if we moved the motion to do it or not, but we now did.
Just in case.
Jacki moved, Troy seconded. Announcements, correspondence.
Okay, so I have not had a chance to write the letter to regional planning about their proposed, and as we discussed at length at the last meeting, regional planning is now contemplating making homeless shelters a primary use on all ag A1, A2 land. And that's a big change. And they've asked us to tell them what we think of it, if there's some limits that we would want, some concentrations we would want, and some of the things we talked about last time were, well, if you're going to make it a primary use on ag land, then you need to make it a primary use on A1, A2, A3. I mean, why should we be treated any different from any place else? So I haven't had a chance to write that letter, but it does need to be written, so I will commit myself to it this week. But I needed from you guys emails about
Ideas.
that you had, so if you can do that, I would really, you had a really good suggestion, I can't remember what it was, but it was about, yeah, it was about, was it security, or, visitation, or? I
That was
can't
for
remember.
Zoe.
Oh, Zoe, okay.
Security and visitation.
But those are all, I thought those were
And
relevant
walkways,
too.
something like
Well, those are probably relevant too, and
that. Okay.
coupled on with the fact that Susan Zonter hasn't sent this to me yet, but at an ARTC meeting sometime, a month or two ago, she has been participating in some of the homeless meetings up in the Antelope Valley, and she has spoken with some of the homeless, the homeless groups who are advocating for people. And they told her her that in homeless shelters, which are different from interim housing, supportive housing and all that, they're literally shelters where they can stay for 6 months. There are no restrictions on the inhabitants, like they don't have to stop taking drugs, they don't have to stop drinking, there's not, now I've asked her, this is all by mouth, word of mouth, so I've asked her to please kind of summarize her understanding so that we can factor it into our letter. She hasn't said that to me yet, but I'm looking, I will ask her about that tomorrow too, because I think that's part of.
It's a big, huge issue.
Yeah.
And the fact that we don't have services such as buses to take people to doctor's appointments, to, you
And
know,
see, I think that's
anything
it.
like
The
that.
homeless shelter, I don't think there is any of that stuff.
They don't worry about it.
It seems like the county's plan is not to have
Dump
that.
them and don't.
Well, they just, no, well, they put them there until they can put them in the other housing. So it's only temporary. You're not supposed to stay in a homeless shelter for more than 6 months, because the theory is that you'll be in a place where you need to be. But while the inhabitants of the shelters may be temporary, the shelter itself is very much a permanent use there. So, so the restrictions on the rules are minimal. At least that's what I've been told. I don't have it in writing yet, so I'm just repeating what I've been told.
What I'm having trouble understanding is what qualifies as a shelter. This has to be a house, a building, an outbuilding, a tent?
They haven't defined what a shelter is.
Because recently in San Fernando Valley, there's been a few fires from homeless and abandoned buildings. So since we live in a high fire danger area, in Los Angeles too, it's, I think, what the shelter actually is, what constitutes a shelter is something that needs to be fully understood.
Now, she said when they came, Heather and Connie did say whatever they are, they'll have to go through Public Works building approval.
Okay.
So, I
So
mean.
this means septic standards, all that kind of stuff?
I would think, but I'm not going to say that because we don't have that definitively since they haven't actually defined. I mean, in Title, is it 11? The tent is a shelter, is defined as a shelter. But that's Title 11, this would be Title 22. But since there is no, the way that typically rules of statutory construction work, if there is no definition in the rule, you look to rules nearby.
Right.
So that's why we have,
Previously defined.
yeah, where we have asked them, tell us what a shelter is, what constitutes a shelter. And yeah, on top of all the record keeping stuff and everything else we've asked for them.
Right.
So, and
It's very difficult to answer their question without knowing what exactly a shelter is.
I know, and
It's
we're
an
just gonna have
impossible
to,
task.
we'll have to shotgun the whole thing. We'll just have to like blast everything in the hopes that we capture whatever it is that they're, I don't mean blast it to bits, but I mean blast answers to every possible thing that it could be, so that we're answering the question.
So does anybody know, do we have a big homeless issue here in Acton?
Some would say Thousand Trails has a lot of.
I would say, like, legitimately homeless, I'm not talking about 1,000 Trails where they're in RVs, I'm saying like
Right.
actual makeshift
Living,
living in the either vacant lots and stuff, 4 or 5.
right.
Well, and
So in
that's-
other words,
that's-
they're
right.
gonna move them in here if we build some sort of a shelter, because we don't have the need for it right here. Do you get what I'm saying?
Right, no, I.
Yeah,
But
so
they
why
told
not
us-
build them where the need is
Right.
present?
But they told us when they announced this whole thing about the new plan, they never told us when
Right.
they were here. They announced it at the ARTC meeting a few weeks later. So it was like a big difference between what we as a community were told and what they're now contemplating. I'm not saying that they didn't tell us the truth, but they changed
Right.
their focus in those just a few weeks. And so what they told ARTC, and I check them correct me, but how did they put it? That the homeless facilities within a community are to serve the homeless in the community. But when we point out, it's like, well, when you look at, for example, their low-cost housing ordinance, the report that was done for that, there were no, they literally mapped where these things could go. There were none in District 3. So it's like, where are all the homeless from District 3 gonna go? They're gonna have to go into other districts.
Right.
And so, and when you looked at, you know, the majority of the housing would be in District 5, and then I think it was Mark Ridley Thomas's district, which is 2 or something, anyway. So we have the same problem here. It's like, well, you say it's for the locals, but how are you going to actually affect that? And Connie said that the decision, or the reason they're moving this direction is because they've heard from, and Chuck, if I misstate this, please correct me, they've heard from homeless advocates who've expressed frustration in not being able to build homeless shelters on A1 and A2 land. So, and maybe that's a problem up in Little Rock or out, because I know there are homeless people out in the desert, but there aren't that many here. But you'd still be painted by the same,
Right.
you know what I mean? And there, I know, for example, if you want to build a building in the Antelope Valley, largely you have to go get a permit from the water master, and you aren't always guaranteed to be able to pull water from your property. And so here we have a waterworks district, so I don't know. It's a lot of uncertainties and unknowns, but we did agree to write that letter.
Yes.
I just apologize, I haven't written it, but I do need ideas from guys,
Some
as
ideas,
well as
okay.
from the residents, concerns that you might have for this new take. We've already written a letter on their homeless ordinance, or
Right.
temporary interim housing units, but now this is new twist on it, so we have to expand our comments.
So do all areas in LA County have to have homeless shelters? In other words, Malibu and Beverly
Homeless
Hills
shelters,
or
yeah.
Santa Monica, or is it just certain areas?
My understanding is homeless shelters are only allowed as primary uses right now on R4 and maybe industrial.
Malibu
Heavy
is-
industrial. That's my, and I'm going from memory here, so I might be off, but this would change it to not just R4, but also A1 and A2. So what we talked about, so whatever is in unincorporated in Malibu, any R4 would be fair game, right?
Mhm.
There's, in the unincorporated area, there might not be a lot of those, just like there are not a lot of R4 in unincorporated Antelope Valley. There might be some in Quartz Hill, there's probably some in East LA, which is unincorporated. I mean, there are some pockets of urban unincorporated communities, but as far as I understand, it's just like R4 and maybe some heavier industrial properties. But this would change that. So that's why one of the suggestions of they open it up everywhere. Other questions was something that I think we talked about is you have to have the parity, the same number of beds in the 5th district as you have elsewhere, you know, 2nd district, 3rd district, which is Malibu, the 3rd district. But of course, then you have the problem record keeping. If the county, is the county really going to keep up with how many beds are in each place? And even if they did, would they care if they weren't? You know, it's like.
It seems to me the sudden need to increase the available area for shelters is, it shows there's an underlying problem that's not being worked on.
Right.
We have a homeless problem, and the solution seems to be to throw them in shelters in A1 and A2, which is somewhat out of the way, where they really need,
And it's cheap,
the county
right?
should be really working on is why do we have so many homeless? It's visibly, as you drive around Los Angeles at Sacramento Valley, I've never seen it like that before. Freeway off-ramps, 20, 30, 40 tents, and you know, the properties next to some of the freeway off-ramps, like in Arleta, the houses are abandoned, and they've cut, you know, they cut through the fences, and there's whole communities out there of homeless people that, and this is new. I mean, this is within the last couple of years. So, you know, Chuck, the county really needs to look at what the root cause of all this is as well, not just where to put them.
My law enforcement colleague suggests it was the change in criminal sentences in California, like 537.
I was gonna second
Large
the
amount
first one, yeah.
of truth for that.
Exactly
The
what
guys
it
who used to get picked up for drug possession and whatnot will go down to county jail. Maybe they go for a year to state prison. Now they'll go for 2 days.
Yep.
They're out. Yeah.
The whole classification of crimes has changed in the last few years, so.
Yes.
Yeah.
What used to be a felony is a misdemeanor.
Commercial burglary, where you had, you know, professional shoplifters who made their living off, you know, shoplifting in In Walmart, those are misdemeanors now, you spend a couple of days in jail and get back out.
It's been
A
9.
lot of them aren't even that, they just cite it out, you know? I know the city of Lancaster,
They've got some weird deal they're trying to.
yeah,
do
they,
now.
can't think of the word now, but they have
Administrative,
administrative citations, so if
yeah.
they don't show up, they have to appear at the, Lancaster.
City Hall, yeah.
City Hall, yeah, so, yeah, basically. But if they don't fix it, then I guess they can put liens on the property, or who knows.
There was something on the news about groups of criminals actually coming in to do shoplifting, and they carefully maintain the amount of money that they're
$900.
they're stealing
Yep.
under the limit, so they just revolving door, they get,
Yeah,
if
they
they get
changed that
caught,
limit a few years
they
ago.
get right back out on the street, and their friends are there waiting for them, and they do the whole thing all over again. So now it's a racket.
It's exactly what it is, they all know the game.
Just another way to make brick and mortar stores go away faster. It's like terrible. Anyways, that's one thing. I haven't done that yet. So I have a bunch of other announcements and correspondence. Okay. We had 2 people, so if you have comments or concerns about this recommendation by regional planning, please email the town council, atc@actontown.council.org, with what you would like to have in this letter. We had 2 people contact us that they would be interested in participating on the Santa Clara River Watershed Steering Committee on behalf of non-Santa Clarita residents. I spoke with Matt Frary about the composition of the committee. This was on Wednesday night, the night before Thanksgiving, and how our goal of having non-Santa Clarita residents participate in some capacity, and how to achieve it. He asked for the names of the volunteers, and I told him that the names would be provided when we have confirmation that they won't be considered. I didn't want us to put names in a hat and then just get rejected again. Right. It's like, I asked about the mechanism that has been set up for selecting and approving alternates. He indicated that there really isn't one, but it seems that the choice is up to the member itself. He acknowledged that the Board of Supervisors is the entity that approved the sitting committee members, so it was they that made the decision to seat community stakeholder members only from the city of Santa Clarita. He said they had nothing to do with it, didn't know anything about it. Well, we have issued a public information request to the Board of Supervisors saying, how did you come upon these names? Since we, as a community, didn't even know about this action until a month after it was adopted. I know we've got from the board on the PIO was the motion adopting it, and I think the minutes of the meeting, so it's very good. Still no clear understanding of how these names even came to the board's attention to adopt it. He suggested that we contact the board to ask why only Santa Clarita residents were seated when the ordinance requires the community stakeholders to represent and maintain a geographic balance to the greatest extent feasible. I told him we've already asked this, but we haven't had a response. So, for those of you, because there are people here who are interested, I know they're in the audience, he's going to get back to me he's going to reach out to the members that do not have alternates and find out if they would be willing to name non-Santa Clarita residents as alternates. The next meeting is, I think, December 12th, so I'll be there, and I made the announcement at the last meeting. So. I also asked Mr. Frary, that was the name of the gentleman I spoke with, Matt Frary, who's sort of spearheading a lot of the effort, regarding the status of the county-wide water plan that Public Works started to put together in late 2017. I learned about this by accident when I was trying to find his contact information. I actually stumbled on a email he sent to the Department of Water Resources in like December of 2017 saying, hey, we're about to roll out our county water plan. When I read that, of course, my antenna went up. I was like, water plan, what? So I asked him about it because I couldn't find anything more about that. He said that the water plan was put on hold when the sustainability plan was initiated. And now that the sustainability plan has been adopted, it will be used as the basis for developing the water plan. The county-wide water plan effort will begin rolling out very soon. So we need to keep our eye on that. Yes. I was like, are you kidding me? Anyway, we received an email from a resident describing the dangerous driving conditions on Andrews Forest Highway due to speeding commuters driving in excess of 70 to 80 miles an hour. I know that some of those rises are blind and very dangerous. The resident explained that children that catch the school bus at Tiger Mountain are often in danger because cars will try to pass the bus on the left when the bus is trying to turn left to drop the children off. Additionally, postal workers and people walking their dogs and riding horses are constantly at risk because cars are always passing each other on both sides of the road along both directions constantly between 2 a.m. and 9 p.m. The resident asked for speed bumps or perhaps, and I thought perhaps some other traffic mitigation measures could be considered. I suggest we convey these concerns to Caltrans and the County Public Works as soon as possible to see what they can do. I don't know what you think of that, but.
Is it Angeles Force Highway Public Works, or is that?
I thought it was Caltrans, but then some time ago,
Angeles Forest is the county public works.
yeah, some time ago.
Angeles Crest is Caltrans. So the
Okay.
first, I don't know, 25 miles is on the way to Pasadena.
Yeah, because when the county repaved it, they came and talked to us about it, so I'm like, well, maybe part of it is county, so. And this is referring to, of course, the part that's county, so. So I'll forward that concern to Public Works and see what we can do.
Jacki, over by Aidin, they did these phantom speed bumps. They got put in there, which are not actual speed bumps, but they give you the optical illusion that they're coming the way they paint them. And I don't know subconsciously it's not. I know they're fake, and I slow down around that turn every single time. It's the weirdest thing, but I can't pronounce the name of it. It's the Albuquerque school.
The old Albuquerque
Yeah.
School? So right there, Albuquerque.
You know when you make that turn in Morgan and it's kind of like a weird blind turn and you're like, oh, there's a school? Well, there's little white lines, but the way they have them, they call them phantom speed bumps because they had it at the town council. And then once they put it in, it's the weirdest thing. You slow down.
It works.
It works. Like your mind thinks, oh, there's a speed bump
The
coming.
programs your foot to
What street is it actually on?
Oh, man, it's just-
Yeah, so phantom, I'll make a note of that and we'll ask for that sort of thing. Or real speed bumps, which they're never gonna do, but.
No.
But that was a low cost thing because that was, money became an issue and everything and they go, oh, hey, oh yeah, we can do that.
I have
Oh, that's a good
Somebody just do it
idea.
during the night.
a very
Yeah,
unpopular
they did.
It's the same district.
suggestion would be stop sign.
Oh, I would love that.
More stop signs.
Stop sign there at, what's the one that crosses with,
Well, Tiger Mountain is what he talks
Tiger
about.
Mountain,
Yeah.
or Rocky Ford, or.
Well, and when you come out just around Edison, a lot of those people that live down in, what's the name of that one road? There's 4 homes along that, just to the south side of the substation. They actually come up the Edison Road and it is blind. You have like 10 feet. So they like just hit the gas and brake every time they get on it, you know?
That's Rocky Ford.
No, Rockyford is the access to Foreston. This is on the other side of the substation. It's called, I can't remember what it's called, but it's on the
Oh, on the
south side. Exactly. So, all right, so stop signs, because we asked for stops, where some places we've asked for stop signs, they put them in.
It's
Yeah.
weird.
And so,
They'll do a study.
and Crown Valley, but they refuse, flat out refuse on Red Rover, which is the problem. We should ask for that every 6 months.
I thought they were still looking at
They
that.
should put one by the Smart too off of,
Yes.
whatever street that is.
Yes.
Sacramento,
Okay, so.
or Wisconsin,
Maybe we
Wisconsin.
can put this, we'll sort of talk about our, what is it, road committee report on this too. So we should ask for those things. So-
Yeah.
Okay,
and
so,
it's,
so stop signs, at Meadowlark,
We got one in Soledad and Santiago, you know, that's really no different.
Red Rover again,
I hated it when it happened, but I like it,
yeah,
providing people stop.
yep.
Well, most people, it's been pretty good.
Yeah.
Meadowlark, Tiger Mountain, Red Rover, and really in front of high school. Again, another accident again, just a couple of weeks ago. It was like, we have people coming in and out of the school there in the morning, people were
Yeah.
zipping down. Okay.
And Jacki, one other thing, I don't know if you guys could reach out to the Antelope Valley Highway Patrol, but without what you'll say, they send a U-Haul CHP representative to town hall meetings. And when they have speeding issues, at least they have like a contact person from their office that does, hey, okay, you guys need more enforcement. And he does, obviously because he, are kind of strict, but, they'll do, hey, we're doing enforcements on Sierra Highway at Welcome because town council's been bugging us about people coming in during whatever hours, and they'll do speed traps and all sorts of other stuff. Because it takes, to do like a legitimate speed trap, you need more than one unit. You can't do it. You can do kind of by yourself, but it's, realistically, you need a guy doing the radar and someone else catching and all other stuff.
Well, I will say this, a couple of, we've asked for highway patrol, they don't normally come. The one time the guy did come, he said, well, there are not that many accidents in Acton, so I asked him for the numbers, and he said, oh, out of 1,000, it's like 256. I said, that's 25% of your accidents are here.
Yeah.
He's like, no, it's not. I'm like, maybe, and he literally was like, oh yeah, you're right. So, and I know that they're stretched thin, but the other day, I was driving down, 2 weeks ago, I was driving down to Soledad to check on something, and there was filming going on, but it was the kind where you get escorted, so it wasn't a road closure, and there were 3 highway patrolmen there working on the filming industry. I'm like, if you're available to the filming industry, I get that it's overtime for
Yeah,
them.
they're paying those guys.
You know what?
And they're not from Antelope Valley either, the ones who are working.
No.
Oh, I don't know, they're from Santa Clarita. But it's just frustrating for us not be able to get somebody and to,
Very much so. You never see.
so.
They've got a new PIO, Gil is no longer there, so I'll ask her if she can come to these. Santa Clarita's got, Newhall Station's got more officers than the.
Right, and I
So they
understand
have
we're
more
stretched.
freedom to do the special operations, so they've been doing a lot of special operations on the roads that go from AV to Santa Clarita on the,
Down
OK
McKay,
and San
Pine
Fran,
Canyon, yeah.
and Highway 138.
But we have the same problem here.
I know, but I mean, yeah, they hit the southern end of those things. and
Right.
Sierra, and then, whatever, locking out it as a forest highway.
Because he's basically a counterpart for me, he's at every one of the meetings, and for me, it's like, I just contact Colin, and I'm like, hey, I got this going on, can you look at that, and like, oh.
See, that's awesome.
So over there, I call their on-duty sergeant, and maybe it's somebody, or someone, it's always someone different.
And I know they're stretched really thin, so there's not a criticism of
Yeah,
their
so, but yeah,
staffing, but it's just.
Newhall's got more officers to shift from place to place, so that's why they're hitting the commuter roads that they share with the Antelope Valley. Newhall does a lot of speed operations on the southern ends and the western ends of those. But I'll ask the new PIO, CHP manager,
That would be great, yeah, we'll let them make us vote. We had an email with pictures about the new signage at the KOA campground. The email indicated that the lights were shining onto Soledad Canyon Road, and they looked blinding from the pictures. The signs were large and perhaps do not comply with CSD requirements. CSD requires that signage be unobtrusive, western style, and all light to be directed under the sign. Freestanding signs must be 5 feet or less in height and have a combined total area of less than 100 square feet. So we can, I don't know, didn't have a chance. I planned to drive down there before the meeting, but I didn't get a chance. So
I saw the pictures, and I believe the KOA sign is the same KOA sign that's been there.
suddenly now it has
I
lighting.
think it has a light on it, it's out of adjustment, or because it's basically not lighting the sign, it's
No, it's
just
right.
projecting out from the sign right onto the oncoming traffic.
So it's not a new
Traffic.
sign then?
I don't believe it's a new sign, it could be, but I don't think
Okay.
it is. I think maybe there was a light on the sign and it got moved or hit or something, and now it's just shining out into the road.
So maybe we should reach out at least to them, and also to Tina, to see if they, because you're supposed to have these on the site plan, so we can do that.
I will say there are a lot of very bright LED lights popping up all over town. On hillsides, just on houses, I mean.
Mountaintops.
But it's one thing when you have a CUP. You know, these guys have a CUP, so there's like, it's not a by right use that they've got this sign for. So there's something, it's a little bit higher standard, I would think, or the argument could be made, I'll put it down there. Whether the county agrees, who knows, but.
I'm sure they're willing to work, you know.
Yeah, they're good people, yeah, I think so too, so we'll reach out to them, and,
But we've seen this have a lot of new lights cropping up everywhere.
and I don't know what to do about it,
I mean, the night skies is no longer the night skies. And when you drive around, you can see on some of the hills, I don't know what they're lighting. You know.
I don't know either.
There are a lot
There's
of
one
people
up
who are
above,
afraid of the dark.
Well,
I think live here.
That's kind of funny, that's our conversation a lot at home. But up on Kentucky Springs, there's up on the hill on Kentucky Springs, there's some huge giant light up there. You can see it.
You know, I spent hours one evening trying to find where that was, and I have no idea. It's amazing, they've got like 4 or 5 huge lights up there.
That's an SCA up there.
Oh, it's way up there. It's I don't know where it is. It's like driving up to people's lock gates and stuff, going out, looking for it. I have no idea what they're doing or why it's up there.
Yeah, but it's pretty much burning all the time now.
Oh, yeah, and they're amazing, and there's lots of them, and they're amazing.
So I guess there's something nice about PSPSs.
Probably.
I don't think their lights ever got turned off, they're too far.
Oh, snap, really?
The ones
Oh,
on-
that's bad.
Yeah,
No, they're in the CSD. Those lights are in the CSD.
but I don't think they were where the lights got turned on. You think they're in the 50? They might, I
I
don't
think
know.
so.
I've never had a chance to check it out, I got too many
I
things.
don't know, yeah, I don't know what to do about that. It just it seems like suddenly
No, there is.
unshielded lights are on.
Oh, yeah.
Everywhere.
You plug in or break
What's the point of standards? Anyway, we received an email from a Mr. Ham, very upset about the PSPS issue and desiring more meetings with Edison and wants to answer questions. And also asking the ATC to participate in instant messaging forums. Our response was that we will convene more meetings if residents wish, but we can't force Edison to answer any questions. And we cannot participate in IM forums for many reasons, including brand compliance. And finally, that to force Edison to answer questions, we agreed to participate in the OII, which we're going to do. And he responded with a note of appreciation, which was nice. There's an upcoming opportunity for small to medium-sized community-based organizations and nonprofits to learn about becoming contractors with the LA County Department of Mental Health. The Board of Supervisors passed a motion to create the Mental Health Incubation Academy to provide for organizations and nonprofits. An information session is being hosted by Supervisor Barger's office on Thursday, December 5th from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. at the Lancaster Library. The session will explain how organizations can apply to receive free mentorship, training, and technical assistance necessary to receive funding for implementing mental health prevention services contract. If you're interested in learning about more information, please contact our email and we will forward you the electronic information we have.
Just one second, I want to back up to the social media thing. If there is something on social media that somebody sees and they want us to see, please just share it to the Acton Town Council email, atc@actontowncouncil.org. That's all you have to do, then we'll be able to see it. But
Because we can't IM on behalf of the town council. We
No,
can't make a statement representing the council until we've agreed and voted on it.
But if you want to make us aware of it,
That's-
just share it to the email or share it to the Facebook, Acton Town Council Facebook page. And at least we'll be able to see it and then from there.
And for this Edison thing, we really need that input. We need to know. I've started going through the PSPS notices and found a lot of violations, so we're good on it, but more information is always better. So Metro is offering grant assistance for Cycle 5 of the State Active Transportation Program, ATP. I think that this might be the same thing as the SRTS program that we participated in before, but I think it's been entirely subsumed by ATP now, so it's not even that. But I think it's still that, the same thing. The grant opportunity is to obtain funding for bicycle and pedestrian plans and projects. We will be hosting an information session on December 5th from 3 to 4 p.m. to explain grant assistance priorities and expectations. You're required to submit a letter of interest. I'd love it if we would go after that again. It's going to have to be somebody else taking that.
Where is that meeting? This
I
week?
believe it's in Los Angeles, and so I can, if you send, anybody interested, send an email to town council, and I'll forward this. We get lots of announcements with like several attachments. We can't afford to print all of them and put them out here. So if you contact anything you're hearing about, contact us, and I will send it out to you, the information we have. But it is on December, we're on my 5th, from 3 to 4. I believe it's in Los Angeles. It might be a web form. I didn't see that on there, but sometimes they do web forms. When I participated in the SRTS program, it was with the California Department of Health, not Metro, but it was web-based, so maybe this will be too. So just drop a line and I'll send it out. I'll make sure I monitor that email tomorrow. The county has also announced another competitive grant opportunity. This one's from Parks and Rec. There is a workshop scheduled for Thursday, January 23rd at the Chimboli Cultural Center, where you can learn about how your community organizations or nonprofit can apply for county funds to support recreation access and youth and veterans job training and placement. Salvation Army transitioned into its 14-hour-per-day winter shelter program in the Antelope Valley as of December 1. Shelter is provided on a first-come, first-served basis. LASA has also announced its winter shelter program, which includes more than 1,000 beds, Kents County based. If you are interested in learning more about either of these programs, please send us an email and I will forward the information to you. LA County, and this is really important, is updating the floodplain management plan for the unincorporated areas of Los Angeles. The floodplain management plan, which is different from Measure W, but are related to. The floodplain management plan is an overall strategy of programs, projects, and measures aimed at reducing the adverse impacts of flood hazards on the community. An important part of the update process is to gather data on residents and business owners' experience with flooding and their perception of flood risks. We've talked a lot about flooding, and we've had problems with flooding. A lot of the problems were because the county said that the drainage infrastructure wasn't theirs until we finally showed them that it was, and then they started maintaining it. That was helpful. But this is something that we deal with all the time, so I think we need to participate. An important part of the update process is to gather data on residents and business owners' experience with flooding and their perception of flood risks. LA County Public Works has created a flood preparedness survey to help collect public input. The website for the survey is on SurveyMonkey. If you want to participate, send me an email. I'll send you the link. I think we as a town council should probably participate. So the emails there, I'll forward it back to everybody. Maybe we can all look at the SurveyMonkey and participate. I think it would be great. Please send us an email if you want, and we'll forward you the information. There is a Connecting People to Opportunities event sponsored by LASA, AV Partners for Health, South Antelope Valley Emergency Services, LA Family Housing, Valley Oasis, Mental Health America, and the County of Los Angeles. Available services will include mental health, DPSS, clothing, hygiene, giveaway, medical, transitional, age youth services, veteran services, housing services, food shops, and more. The event is January 6th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Hope Center in Lancaster. If you're interested or want more information, please send us an email and I'll forward you what I have. The Clean Power Alliance Board of Directors meeting, is scheduled for December 5th in downtown LA. We had previously discussed attending that meeting and asking them to participate in the PUCOII since they are the actual energy providers for unincorporated areas like Acton. I may still be able to go if anyone would like to join me. According to their agenda, the public comment period is at the beginning of the meeting, but it is in Los Angeles. And it does not look like there is any web-based opportunity anywhere near us. We have it for places in Ventura and other areas, but not for us.
What is that? You said the 5th?
That is on December 5th in downtown Los Angeles. It's just so easy for us to participate. We received an email directed to Tom, thanking him for our support on the River LA project. I didn't know that we ever did that, but apparently you did. So,
Nice job.
huh?
Is it all right, Scott?
Yeah, nice job. We had an email about filming at Middleton Ranch, which appears to be taking place on the illegally graded portion of the project that was understood to be off limits and for which they got the clean hands waiver. There has not been an opportunity to follow up on that. And that's it. Oh, well, except for the three committees.
Yeah,
Yes.
so we'll talk about it.
Yeah, all right, okay. Any questions?
Anybody else have any announcements or correspondence?
No, I think Jacki covered everything.
I think so.
She's kind of taken over that section.
Yeah.
She does the 2019 one.
Yeah.
Are you supposed to do that stuff then, Kelly? What?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I think we generally, what we've done is we just gone down.
Right.
Oh,
But
okay.
you now
But you
organized it.
Yeah, I'm just,
And she sends that to me, so.
Yeah.
and to Lily, and to Joyce, and to you guys, I don't know. If you ask her, ask her.
I don't think you do, no.
You got it on film.
Does that mean I don't have to ask you to send me all
Yeah.
that stuff that I can possibly, get down there?
Yeah, I'll send it. I'll probably like correct the typos and stuff. It's like,
Don't worry about that, because I'll edit that part, but the point is I can report it as your report, and there's no point in my trying to keep up with your very quick read.
Item 12, council member comments, Jacki.
I am.
I don't have anything either.
Yep.
I don't.
Okay, we're done. Committees. All right. Planning and coordinating.
Can we take planning and coordinating and and CSD and trails all together, because they're all relevant. Is that all right?
So we've got,
Is that okay with you, Kelly?
Uh-huh. So it'll be,
The CSD committee.
let me see.
Oh. Used to. All right.
Okay, so CSD and trails, right?
Do you want to start, Kelly?
yeah. Okay, so we had a CSD meeting on the concept draft, and we were kind of taken back on a couple of different items.
Bushwhack.
Bushwhacked, that's a great way to put it. Trails, which Jacki is going to talk about. We didn't like what they had to say on that at all. I don't even know how else to put it. But one of the things that really, really bothered me was on quite a few of the different topics, they said that there are other communities in the Antelope Valley or in the unincorporated area that all have the same topic. So we kind of would like for them to all basically have the same language in them. Well, the part that I had a hard time with that is that in some ways we are unique. So we have to be able to have some of the unique language in there. The way Jacki explained it to me was the absolute best. The first LA County plan is your bones, you know, of the body. The AV plan is the muscle, and our CSD is the hair and the makeup and all the pretty stuff, you know.
How we look.
How we look. And so how can we all have the same exact language and all look different? It'd be like every one of us looking exactly the same. So that was the part that really kind of took me back and kind of bothered me, that they were not really wanting to hear some of the things that made us unique.
Yeah, and they said like, well, you know, there were like 9 CSDs, we're still gonna have like 7 more or whatever. That's just a lot for the planners to keep track of. So it's like, no, they said that, right, Kelly?
Yes, they did.
It's like really hard, and it is true. And Tina does all of it, and it's hard for her. But
You
it's
know-
like, well, but that can't mean for your convenience that we don't be who we said we could be.
Right, well, you know, and at the ARTC meetings, when they were first starting to talk about this, I believe it was Jeffrey Hillinger, is that
Probably
correct?
correct,
Yes. He kept saying, okay, we need to have consistency in the numbers and the way the CSDs are numbered. So anything that had to do with trails in your CSD would be under one number, and they then would be able to look up each community very easily, you know, instead of
Which should make it easier.
make it easier.
And the other problem on the CSD was that they said, we're not going to put anything in your CSD that we believe is under the jurisdiction of some other agency.
Right.
I
They did
almost
say that.
fell over.
Yeah.
And I said, well, right now our CSD says things like, no urban, no curbs, gutters, things like that. It says right in the CSD are discouraged, you know, but those are all under the purview of public works. So I said straight up, I said, does that mean you're going to take that out of the existing CSD? And Mark said, no, we're not going to take it out, but, you know, we're just, you know, it's not really we can't really enforce it, so it really shouldn't be in Title 22. So then I said, well, then we need to have CSDs for every agency because they'll enforce their parts of it. And they were like, oh, well, no. It's like, so you're going to put into the CSD only things that that regional planning has sole jurisdiction over.
Right.
So our CSDs are basically going to be reduced to setbacks, lot size, architectural standards, and signage. I mean,
Yeah.
I was like, so the stuff that's there already under the jurisdiction of Parks and Recs, because you're required to have trails, it's all subdivisions, okay? Because that falls under Parks and Recs, you're not really going to enforce it. So it's going to stay in the CSD, but not really I don't know, be ignored, I can't really tell. And then any of the stuff that we asked for will not be in the CSD because it's not under the county's jurisdiction, you know, or the regional county's
Well,
jurisdiction.
it was like
That was
real
like-
estate signs, when we were talking about,
Oh, yeah.
you know,
Yeah, we don't do-
directional signs and, you know, all the different things that we were asking for.
Manure
They
spread,
said,
is that
yes,
public health?
it's under, it's, you
Yeah.
know, already there. They don't, it doesn't need to be in your CSD, it's
Yeah.
already written in the.
Like dog
Whatever
breeding,
code.
our ban on dog breed, you know, dog breeding, which is not the same
Right.
as dog rescue and all that other stuff. Well, that's under animal. So, I mean, they literally went through and said, nope, 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 nope. It was like, okay. But they're not, at least they said they wouldn't gut what's already there under their jurisdiction, but apparently it'll be disregarded or just ignored. So that was like, and there's no, I don't know what the solution for that is, because then and I've written a letter that I recommended go out because there was no time. I wanted to get it out quickly, and this meeting happened after our last day council meeting. So Kelly and I talked about it, and we agreed to send it out as committee chairs, so that we didn't have to wait for, you know, a quorum of town council, and now we're doing that, so
Right.
whatever. So if they're not going to, if they're only going to put the CSD, the stuff regional planning has as jurisdiction over, then they have to come up with other CSDs for other agencies, or take back everything they told us, you know. Filming, all of our requests, like not having really explosions,
Right.
fire bombs, what was the other thing we asked
Noise
for?
and lighting, yeah, was
Yeah, it was like, well, that's all under the CEO's jurisdiction. Everything on cannabis, oh, that's not there. That's all under CEO's jurisdiction. Everything that we asked for. So it's like, okay, so there's no point to it. 90% of the work we get, really. The other thing is that they said Parks and Rec, not only are they not going to put any of the trails information we asked for. By the way, let me preface this. The county-wide general plan adopted in 2015 identifies regional trails, and they're mapped, it's figure 10.1 in the adopted county plan. But it also identifies, so there's a regional trails, backbone trails. It identifies feeder trails, and it states straight up, feeder trails, you need to get feeder trail dedications for access to the regional trails. And then it also discusses local trails, right? And then in the Antelope Valley plan, we have something called, in Chapter 7, it's local community standards. It says straight up, any new buildings on commercial or industrial properties has to be connected to the rural town area by pedestrian and multi-use pathways. There are two different pathways, pedestrian and trails, right? Two different, not one path, but two different paths. So we have asked over and over that when new development happens, and including site plans, that they include trails. Well, they've never gotten the trails, right? So what the bomb that got dropped on us Tuesday was that Parks and Rec has now decided that the only trails they're ever going to get for dedication are those that are on the mapped trail map. And I said, so you're only going to get regional trails? That's right, that's all Parks and Rec has told us. And Parks and Rec was not there.
No.
And I said, well, you know, the AV plan says our AV plan says we're supposed to have a local trail system, which has nothing to do with the backbone trail system. It's to connect our commercial and industrial businesses, which are supposed to be community serving, to our community, right? Independent of any, there are separate feeder trail obligations as well as regional trail obligations. So there's 3 different types of trails, local, feeder, and regional, that our plan says must be obtained from development, right? And it says it straight up in several places. So when now this announcement has come out, Parks and Rec is saying we're only going to get trail dedications on regional maps. That means, and then Mark said, well, Parks and Rec has said that they're willing to work with you to try to map your local trails onto their map, but you have to do all the GPS work. I'm like, I know when Cindy, oh, I know, well, I'm looking at your face, you're like, about to explode, right?
I know all about
Cindy, do you remember her? She did all the,
Yeah.
the red-headed gal.
Anderson.
Is that her last name? Anyway,
It was not Cindy.
she did, yeah, it was Cindy, she worked at an auto place down in, anyway.
Anyway, I
She did
have
a
all
lot-
that information at home.
Yeah, she did all the trails GPS mapping, a lot of trails she did, didn't end up on the regional map. So I'm very upset because they've conflated regional trails with local trails and feeder trails and collapsed all of them and basically subsumed all of them into just the regional. It will take years for us to map. We don't know where development's gonna happen. I mean, we don't know, so we can't even predict what that'll be because we don't know when it's gonna happen, where it's gonna happen. But we have to know right now what it's gonna look like. So, anyway, they're not getting the local trails or the feeder trails that are required by our plans. They've conflated them, collapsed them, and are willing to work with us to figure out where they're gonna go if we GPS them, and then they're willing to change the trails map. But that would take a general plan amendment. That's years in the process, right? Now, I am fit to be tied about this, because Mark Kerwick stood there and he said, well, you know, they get these trails in the backbone trails, and I said, no, they don't actually. And I said, map 52882. The tentative said, put a trail here. It was right across an open space 80-acre parcel. It was going to be 10 feet wide. Then the revised map made it 7 feet wide. Got adopted. But when the map was finally recorded with Public Works, there was no trail on it. Public Works never even got it. And that's the key. That one link is the key that connects to the Angeles Forest Highway, to Angeles Forest area from downtown Acton. So they didn't even get it. So we have like I'm just really perturbed about this. And Mark goes, well, don't worry, Parks and Recs will be reaching out to you about how you want to spend your, you know, what sort of recreational trails we're going to do. And I said to Mark, I said, this community only gets $18,000 a year from the Measure A fund. That won't even cover the cost to write a contract to spend the $18,000, right? It's like, what do you, so they're like taking the AV plan, the county plan, chucking them in the bin and saying, we're doing what we want and you better get on board. And by the way, you don't get any of this in your CSD. I cannot overstate how angry I am about this. Because I've been trying to bird dog these trail issues for 10 years. I'm just,
They want to simplify our CSDs and make them all look the same.
and not get us anything.
Yeah.
Chuck, does the Board of Supervisors actually care about what the county plan says, or the AV plan?
About, they don't talk to me about that, so.
So what do we do? So in other words.
Well, so, and I know that they're still in the process of this, and I was, as you were talking about them saying, oh, well, that's a Department of Public Works issue, that's such and such an issue. I was at one of the other sessions like you guys had, and I think it was one of Green Valley, and they were talking about that, and I think it was regarding roads again, but I can't remember the details, but I warned them, I said, you know, people are gonna flip out about this if you
But
say
Chuck,
it's
it
not
can't
part-time.
it can't be us telling Parks and Rec what the dang AV plan says. It's got to be the people who adopted it. There were 5. And they're all still sitting there. Well, except for Supervisor Antonovich, I guess, it adopted just before he left. I mean, if the Board of Supervisors wants to chuck the plan, then they need to do that.
I don't know if there was a board vote, because they said, oh, we're not doing the.
No, there was no board vote. That is what the staff, I'm sorry, I'm yelling. That is what the county staff have said they're going to do. They don't, when I told Mark that the county plan and the AV plan both have feeder trail, local trail, goals and policies, right? Adopted goals and policies. He said, well, I have not seen that, and that's something I'll have to take up with Parks and Rec. I mean, well, because he doesn't, because he doesn't do trails. It's not in his wheelhouse. It's not under his jurisdiction.
But he should have the information that affects decisions.
Because guess what? He and his department are the ones who approve development. And the nexus is development. So of course he should know about it.
Guess what? Does this smack of the same old stuff we've been talking about for years?
Yes.
They're tightening the noose. And I want, is there...
But I've never seen, Lillian, I have never had a county staffer say, ever, that I've ever heard saying, well, this is how we're going to do it. When you hold up the county plan saying, well, this and this and this, well, we're doing it this way. I mean, I've never...
They don't recognize it as having any validity.
Chuck, what I'm getting at is, it's not on us And we can't even make the county comply with the plan that the board adopted. With a lot of work from us and a huge amount of support from us. I talked to, was it Chris Perry, a couple of months ago, before he switched out. And I told him how much I appreciated the AV plan. He goes, boy, nobody tells us they like the AV plan. I said, you've never heard that from this council. We live and die by that plan. And now, as of 2 weeks ago, it's completely being kicked to the curb by staff. I don't know why, because it's not routine. No. Because our plan says that development, which creates urban infrastructure, specifically calls out traffic signals, concrete development, all those other things, will be strongly discouraged. Well, the strongly discouraged part is under the umbrella of regional planning. They're the ones who approve that. But because traffic signals are under public works, they're not going to even look at that. Okay, so when I pointed out to Mark, he was there, we were there, I said to Mark, the rural commercial zoning ordinance that your agency adopted says straight up that if a development, and I don't mean just a commercial development, an actual development like a drive-through fast food or whatever, drive-through drugstore, right?
Right.
Could still come in this town because they don't really think that that's a drive-through. He said it straight up. Then they're supposed to look at that development, even though it might be by right on commercial. And if it's so, it creates so much traffic that it would trigger a traffic signal, a CUP is required. So there's like multiple nexi, it's not even a word, between regional planning's obligations for approving development and requiring a CUP triggered by public works wheelhouse issues, okay? So it's not, I'm not just making this stuff up. This is what they already have in front of them, and they're ignoring all of it. Mark said, well, I didn't realize that was in there. We'll have to figure something out like that, right? And he said, we'll have to figure something, we'll have to talk to Public Works. And I said, I had a long conversation about this with Susie at actually Supervisor Barter's office when we were all meeting there for that, the power line issue, right?
Yeah.
And she didn't know anything about it. She's like, well, we'll have to reach out with Public Works. So they were going to do that. So it's like, it's not just trails. It's almost everything in our CSD, Chapter 7. The freeway serving businesses, the no urban infrastructure, all of it. There's almost, our AV plan says nothing about anything regional planning has jurisdiction over, including setbacks or, well, it says like, should be western motif, that's it. So 90% of what's in our AV plan to protect our community will not be in the new CSD, because it is not under the purview of regional planning. And that's their determination as an agency. So I'm asking again, what is the board going to do to preserve the very plan it adopted and make sure that it gets implemented?
Right.
By, how? I was blown away by that meeting 2 weeks ago. You have jurisdiction. So one of the things we need to do is...
Well, I'm confused because regional planning is the umbrella over all other departments. They're the ones under development, so they're the ones who make you go to the public works and public health and all that. And then it goes back to them, and then they give you your permit. So I don't understand how they say they don't have any control over any of this.
It's just
They have control over all of it. They have control whether they're going to send you to public works or not.
I agree. Right. I don't know what to say.
I don't even know where to go from here.
Well,
Except
I'm
for
not
to-
sure, all we can do is like, point these things out.
Right.
But we have no, if the board doesn't care enough about its own plan to do anything, to reach down to public, regional planning and say, why is it that you're not going to require trails on any time a building permit comes across for development in a commercial or industrial zone land? This is what my plan says. Why aren't you making it happen? That's the only way this is going to get fixed.
Because urban development doesn't require equestrian trails.
I
Cities
know, but
don't require.
it's going to have to be
trails.
it's going to have to be the supervisor's office. That's it.
Right.
So I don't see any other way.
I fear for us, let's put it that way. I just see this as another step in that progression toward taking away everything we've built here and everything we've walked here.
Yep. Well, I think it's important to put in the record a summary of our meeting with them, which I haven't written out yet. So articulating these points, this is our understanding. And then also, I drafted a letter that sort of steps into these issues and talks about sites. It's not exhaustive, because I only spent an hour or so on it, but pulling out all the sections of the AV plan and the county plan that talk about trails. All the goals and policies, and it's 2 pages, and it's there. It's not made up, you know. So I would like to get this letter sent, either you and I signing as committee chairs, or as a town council signature under Jeremiah's, but I mean yesterday. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to read it, or...
I looked at it,
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. You probably did. I haven't looked at email much lately, so I'm kind of jammed on things. But I don't know what you guys think, or if there are any changes. Did you have any changes that you want to make? Or what you want to do? I'll stop talking now.
No, but we need to dig into the other issues too, after we send the trails, we need to.
Well, I think I did in the
Dive
letter,
into some
I
of the
talked about, you
issues.
can't just divorce
Right.
from the CSD stuff that's just in your wheelhouse. You can't, because most of the AV plan is a multi-jurisdictional issue. That's what the AV plan is. It says it straight up. All the county agencies work together to achieve this.
Right.
Plan.
Maybe I didn't read that, maybe I read the first letter that you sent to me, or the,
Oh, okay, well then I'll double check, because if it wasn't in there, then
that may have
it's
been.
whatever, so I will. So, so I'll make sure that that part about it is that,
Okay.
or maybe we should we ask for a meeting with Supervisor Barker's planner guy and public works guy and trails guy? Is there a parks and rec?
Those are all the same guy, that's all Adele, I think.
And that's Parks and Rec too?
You know, he doesn't have Parks and Rec, but he's got Public Works.
Okay,
The other
so-
one is Susie Neal, who is the Parks, and I suppose that's Trails.
So could you help us set a meeting up with them?
Oh, sure, I'll help you
This
with one
is-
one, yeah, because I'm sure that Adele doesn't know, like I said, it was about a month ago, I think, and I think it was at the Green Valley meeting.
And they said the same thing to Green Valley.
Essentially offhand, they said, oh, that isn't part because, and I think it was on roads, and I think it was on curbs. They said, oh, no, that's under Public Works, that's not under us.
And you know what? I bet the people at Green Valley didn't understand the implication of that statement.
Well, they don't have much development at all going on there. I don't know when the last house built right there in the community is, a new house. So it didn't register. Because I thought, well, and I'm pretty sure that's what they're talking about, because that's essentially how the CSDs, in my recollection, got started, is Courts Hill saying, we don't want to have curbs and gutters, we're rural, we want to have dirt shoulders. That's where I think it all started from.
And all that stuff is in our CSD. And it's in,
It's in all of them.
it's in the old AV plan,
Yeah.
and that's why it's in the CSD. And it's in the new AV plan reinforced. So it's even more fundamental than it was.
Yeah, and I'm going down there tomorrow. If I see Adele down there, I'll tell them, I'll write them a memo that says, hey, there's something going on with the CSDs.
So should we write an email?
Oh, yes, you
asking
should.
them
Oh,
to-
yes. If I tell them, and then 2 days later, yours shows up.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, yes.
Could you shoot me an email or shoot us an email with the parks person? 'Cause
Oh,
I-
sure. Susie, that I can never spell her name, either part of her name, but yeah, Susie Niebuhr. She works out of our Pasadena office, so I will.
Okay. I was blown away by that. I just,
Have you been in contact with, Town Council yet about this?
no, this literally came up the week before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
It's a bombshell.
I
You should,
haven't
because
heard
the-
anything from the Agrodolce side about, I'm sure they'll have the same trauma that you're having.
Well, they're not gonna know about it because they're not doing anything with their CSDs.
Well, we did revise our CSD, but under what they're telling you, all the things that we revised and took to make our community responsive, have CSD be responsive to the community will, all that can go out the window in a heartbeat.
Well, my
If they're doing the
understanding
same
is,
thing.
if it's in the CSD, they're not doing
They're
anything
not
to
gonna
it, they're
change
just
anything, but they're gonna
But they're
ignore
not,
it.
if they don't enforce it, what good is it?
Right.
Exactly, right on the nose. All right, so you'll email Adele and Susan.
And I'll send you contacts for
Okay, and
Adele.
then we should email Adele, but I think we should also write this letter, so.
Yes.
And we're sending it to everybody. Director Bodek, Director Public Works, Parks person, whatever her name is, new person for Parks, I think.
Wicker?
I don't know, that sounds familiar. And then, of course, Supervisor Barter and Adele and you and Donna. So. Donna was at the meeting, but she missed the entire discussion on trails.
Yeah.
Because she was held up at another meeting, so she didn't hear any of that.
Yeah, that was a busy day, I can't remember.
No, I know.
Someplace
And I think it
else.
was the day of the Edison meeting in Agua Dulce, so, there was no opportunity to tell the Agua Dulce Town Council. So Donna won't really have much
Okay.
in her registry about this, because she walked in right at the tail end of it, so. But she heard all the other stuff about, that's not our wheelhouse, that's not our wheelhouse, that's not our wheelhouse, and they didn't use that word. Okay, so should we just write the letter as a committee, or how do you guys want to do this?
I'm fine with that.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, all right, that's what we'll do.
County website's not updated, Dell's not on here still, and
Oh, okay, you have it.
I'm looking at it right now.
So if you guys are okay with the letter, I'm gonna look at it again, I might need to change it to add, because I thought I had that stuff in there if I don't.
Well, just send it back to me again and I'll make sure to.
Okay, all right. So actually, okay, tomorrow I'll send out the letter with the stuff added if it isn't there. So please take a look at it, and when I get 4 people saying, okay, we're good, we're good to go. Okay,
And send me a copy, I'll read it.
yeah, yeah, as soon as it goes out, we'll do that, thanks. And I send it to everybody, so. Okay,
Okay,
yeah, sorry about that.
so that covers planning, coordinating, CSD, and travel.
Yep.
Okay.
It's covered that all.
All right, publicity, nothing new there. Finance, ways and means, no Pam tonight. Community standards, we just did that, and decorum,
You skipped ARTC.
I did. Oh, I did, ARTC.
There was no meeting in November,
Okay.
so,
We met on decorum, and we talked about a few things.
Yes.
We never quite followed through on.
We've never completely followed through on, and it was really for if we had a big, huge
right.
meeting, but we need to start practicing those, what we had talked about at meetings like this. So it makes it easier.
I think
I'll rewrite that, I'll look all that back up again, okay?
The standalone deal worked pretty well.
Yeah, it did. I thought that worked good. That meeting was just hard because I was sitting at that end and they lined up right there. So I had all these people staying in front of me while I was trying to listen and write notes and. Yeah,
Grabbing your pen.
Yeah, people grabbing my pen, yeah. Yeah.
Well, when we have like hot button issues like
Yeah.
that, what about bringing the podium to the middle aisle and having
They don't
it
want to have people stand right there.
stand, yeah.
Yeah.
and the chair's a little further apart.
Mhm.
Something like that, yeah.
All right, so we'll take a look at that. Do you want to meet on that, or you just want to talk about it?
I'll look at it and send out an email.
Library.
As of Tuesday. All right,
It
trails,
says
we did utilities. All right.
Super. I'm sure Edison cut the power to the PA.
Okay, so, go ahead.
Well, I mean, I saw that we were included in the
Yes.
OII, and it's coming electronically like you requested.
Mm-hmm.
And I read through some of that stuff, but I tell you, I was really sure
I didn't, it was something from one of the attorneys representing Best and Krieger, right? I think the
somebody
attorney
named
for
Pena or.
Pena.
What's
Oh,
the
that's
second?
he's an assemblyman or something. Okay. I saw it was there, I didn't get a chance to read it, but I've gone through, I'm about 2/3 of the way through the PSPS notices. This OII was convened to address PSPS events in October, like 29th, 30th. And so I found a number of situations where we were notified, all clear, and then the next thing you know, on one of the circuits here, it was shut down. So, and notices that went out literally minutes without any warning, a number of things like that. So there's plenty of grist for the mill, but December 13 is when Edison's, is the deadline for Edison to file and serve a response to the OII. So our meeting is the day after, or 2 days after, right? December 13. Our meeting is the 16th. Okay. So day up till the Friday. So my plan is to, our response will be due January 10th. Not only responding to what they say, but also to our best case of issues raised in the OII that need to be addressed.
Okay.
And so that's why I'm preparing this, you know, the evidence from what we've got for our own case. But we are, in addition, we're going to address, respond to whatever they say. So we'll have December 13th, it'll be in the email box, so if you guys could read what they say, because it's going to be probably a lot of words, probably very lengthy. It's going to be like the high-speed rails EIR, so I did not say much, but just slog through it if you can, and then we'll talk about it. We'll definitely have that on the agenda, because I don't know if these will be on the agenda, but definitely have the OII on as an agenda item to discuss what we want, because our response is due January 10th, and I don't know, I don't think we have a meeting between, oh, I guess, are we going to have a meeting on January 6th?
Oh.
I don't see why not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or we can schedule a meeting for this deal, let's sit down and work through all this.
Okay,
Clear
yeah,
that
will I
work?
make it a public meeting? I'm fine with that, whatever.
Just a work group and get a date and spend a few hours trying to.
Stepping through it.
Stepping through it as a group.
That's actually a really good idea.
Yes.
And that the public wants to come. I did, at the Edison meeting, I would also say, I did walk up to Mary just before it started and let her know about this. So I don't know if they, if they want to pursue it, but we certainly can. So when should we do that?
Okay, so our response is due by the
January 10th.
January 10th.
But we should probably convene, Edison's position will be clear, required to be filed by 5 o'clock California time on December 13th.
Will they actually do it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There'll be a huge short sale. So maybe sometime, maybe the week of the 16th or the 20th?
Yeah, because the next week is Christmas and then it's New Year's.
Yeah, that's why it's sooner
Yeah.
rather than later.
I'll be available after the 17th.
Okay,
So
so,
Wednesday or Thursday?
I'm fine with either one of those.
That would be available.
okay.
You
So,
might be out
In
of
the morning,
town.
and mornings will be better for me.
like 10
Tom, you
o'clock.
might be out of town.
Will you be
No,
back?
this is, I'm not sure. So we're looking at
This December, yeah. So Kelly's available on the 18th, the Wednesday, 19th, Thursday, 20th, Friday.
No, I think it's the week before then. Maybe. Yeah, I think that could, either Wednesday or Thursday should be fine.
Okay, so morning would be best for, I can do earlier than, although the library isn't open until 10 on Thursday. What days is it
You're
open?
looking to have it here, right?
Well, we'd like to if we could.
Yeah,
but-
Sure, okay, no, I'm happy to do it.
What time are you open on Wednesdays and Thursdays?
Wednesdays, Thursdays, we open at 10, I have staff here at 9, so I can let you in as early as 9.
9 be okay? Is that too early for you guys? That'll give us enough time because I'll have to punch out by noon,
Okay, so on Wednesday or Thursday.
whichever one you guys want.
Thank you.
You're good to vote, Troy?
Yeah, sorry.
Either should be fine.
Okay, let's just do Wednesday.
Got to get it over with.
Get it over with, this is just the beginning.
Wednesday.
Not the end.
Wednesday, the 18th.
And I don't have
What
the
time?
contract
'Cause
written,
that's-
that's one thing. to
At
follow
9
up
a.m.?
to, so.
And you guys said
That's
noon
fine.
would be late enough?
Oh, it's not.
Pardon me?
Noon will be late enough?
Well, I'll have to leave it, they can keep staying work, but I've got,
Okay, can't stay too much past noon.
Okay,
If you want a little extra time Thursday, would be your best bet. I can give you until 2 o'clock on
On
Thursday.
Wednesday or Thursday?
Thursday would be much better.
Thursday's
Thursday
better?
would be better.
Okay,
Yes,
all
I'm
right,
sorry.
Thursday, okay.
Yes.
So I can give you more time Thursday.
Okay, so 19th, 9 a.m. to 2?
Yeah.
Okay. I probably still have to punch out at noon.
But if
My
we-
son has finals that week, and so
Yeah,
I quiz him on this stuff.
yep.
And this is for,
Oh, to talk about our response
For the,
to the OII, about the Edison's.
All right,
Oh, what
19th
is
at
it?
9 o'clock. We can make it public, right? I mean,
yeah,
Jackie, remind us what OII
what is
is.
our,
Order, in- oh,
it's
sorry.
not even.
go ahead. You can say
Order
it back, yeah.
initiating investigation to investigate possible wrongdoing, violation of policies and adopted standards in recent PSPS events. And the power outage on Thanksgiving, just as I was putting my turkey in the oven, was not a PSPS event.
It was a blown transformer.
Oh, I thought it was a tree branch.
I heard it was a blown transformer from the weather.
Well, it was
Conspiracy.
a car, it was a tree, it was a blown transformer, and
Is
folks
it-
in the Acton market thought it because the roof was too flat, so it could be anything.
I thought for sure.
But it was not PSPS.
When a power outage came out on Thanksgiving, I'm like, that's it, it's gonna be a riot.
I had just put my turkey in the oven. It's like,
Now people are gonna deep fry their turkeys, there's gonna be snow that gets into the grease, and there's gonna be fires that start from that.
You know, I think it's important to realize, for people to realize that just because we haven't had a bootlegger or a pick or a shovel shut off, that this month, that Ventura County and Riverside County both have had shops.
I looked at Ventura counties in November, and it's bad. They totally violated the law. Yeah,
So,
it is bad.
yeah, and those were based on who knows what. So in the information we have now, the
The questions raised in this order are, there's a whole page of them. The issues presented. Phase 1 shall address the following. To what extent has each of the electric utilities implemented the requirements contained in attachment A of the decision approving the PSPS guidelines? Did delay in implementing any of the requirements present challenges during the PSPS events? Were the procedures adopted by the electric utility to implement requirements effective? How did the utility communicate with and notify state and local agencies, first responders, tribal governments, and its customers? So customers are the last on this list. So we have some uphill work to do, because I don't give a dang how much you tell Chuck if it doesn't come out. Now, Chuck was great about getting stuff out to us, but Chuck doesn't even live here. So, you know, these are some of the things that we need to really open with a can opener and reveal. How effective were the notifications and communications? I've been putting together this database showing a lot of problems. What was the cause of ineffective notification and communication? I would like to have seen what were the results of it, but we just see the cause of it. What efforts were undertaken by the utility to minimize the impacts of a PSPS event on the public?
well, that's a big one.
Yeah, exactly. But the problem is, drilling down on this is hard because we don't have the evidence they had. For some reason, they shut Acton down for days, and a lot of places didn't have a lot of wind. Anyway, but I don't see, Edison has to respond to all of these, so we're going to step through what Edison's response are. But we also are going to respond to these in our, so it's a two-part document we're putting
Who
together.
compiled this list?
This is put together by the PUC.
So based on what complaints they got, or?
Yeah, I'll start it here. The CPUC hereby institutes this investigation to determine whether California's IOUs, investor-owned utilities, prioritize safety and complied with the Commission's regulations and requirements with respect to the PSPS events in late October, late 2019. I mean, the Commission's jurisdiction, corporations, Edison, PG&E, so on and so forth, are named respondents in this investigation. So it's basically, it's calling them out and saying, we're investigating you. We open this investigation as a companion to rulemaking blah blah's docket where they adopted PSPS. The Commission's rulemaking to examine utility de-energization and power lines in dangerous conditions. This investigation will serve as a forum for taking evidence to evaluate both the effectiveness and impacts. That's what we need to do. We had fires that started because of the PSPS. So that's where I'm looking for, but I didn't see much of this in the question. But it doesn't matter. This is the order instituting investigation. They've defined what the scope is by these questions, but we also can address in our scope response this issue about impacts.
Right, okay.
So this investigation serves as a forum for taking evidence, in the first phase of the proceeding, the Commission's Safety and Enforcement Division, that's SED, shall investigate and produce a report that evaluates the utilities' actions prior to, during, and after the PSPS events late in 2019 in utility compliance. So that's really going to be important because this is a consultant report. They're not talking, I doubt the results are going to talk to us. So that's why the PUC needs to hear from people who actually lived through it. You know, I've written consultant reports, and they can be anything from really good, deep grassroots assessments to superficial, this is what the utilities say and I'm compiling it. I don't know to what extent they're going to do, but that's something else we'll step into, is their report. So we are not solely concerned with a technical or check-the-box compliance with our directives, and SED and its consultants shall also review the quality of the utilities' internal coordination, situational awareness, external communications, which is important, both from the point of view of the amount and quality of information provided, and the effectiveness of the utilities' chosen methods of communication, which was abysmal at the beginning. We all knew that. So anyway, it's all in the OII. If you guys want it, I'll email it to you. I think I might have already, I don't remember, but this is a PUC document, so. Yeah, that's your question?
Yes.
But God knows what Ed's going to say. We will find out.
Right.
I will forward this to everybody.
Okay,
personal, just
thank
in
you.
case. Maybe I forgot to do that, I did, but I will do it again. No problem.
All right, so we have a date and got a lot of homework to do.
19th at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, 92.
I'm going to come to that, but unfortunately it's press day.
Sorry.
Just keep me informed if you would.
Right, bylaws, nothing new, Kelly?
No.
Emergency response, disaster resiliency. Bill, beautification, illegal dumping. No real correspondence on anything going on in town. Film coalition, I figure out what we're gonna do with that.
There's too many things running. I can't.
Yeah, town line. Yeah, we need somebody from the outside.
Just like.
Industrial aesthetics.
Too much on there. A lot of trees are going up around.
They are.
No, it's looking good in a lot of these places.
They're putting forth an effort.
Yes, and Ruth is still willing to come and report when there's something to report.
Which is good.
It's
Yeah.
not really
I don't-
They all freeze to death, yes.
Now, I don't know what you guys want to do on the traffic safety and SRTS. It looks like that's going out again, but I can't carry that weight.
Maybe we can convince the district to carry that weight this time. I'll meet them up.
No, you would.
Verbally.
No. I didn't finish my sentence. You would be a hero if you could pull that off.
Well, maybe we can get them
My
to take
hero.
charge of it, and then we can do the local assistance thing. So, the other way around.
Yeah.
Right.
That was just too hard to lift, and there's just too many things going on right now.
Okay.
High-speed rail, we have received several emails from people willing to participate on our committee, which is good. So that'll still be starting in January.
Yeah.
I can't even think about when yet, so we'll try to nail down some dates of the next meeting.
They got to issue the EIR first.
I know, but we were going to put a group together to go through what they did for Fresno or Merced.
And it would be good because then it would get everybody kind of geared up and thinking in the right.
Right.
Yeah. And people can say what groups, what parts they're interested in.
They're interested in
pursuing.
pursuing.
Okay. Unfinished new business?
Okay, so the unfinished business is that letter on the homeless thing.
Right.
Which you guys have to get back to me on. And that's, as far as I know, the only thing I haven't done yet,
I think that's it.
was that. And I also need to call up to Metro again. That they didn't follow up with this. Well, the one guy did, but then he emailed it the person who was supposed to follow up, but they didn't, so.
Okay. Meeting, next agenda, next meeting, you had something, Kelly, that you jotted down?
The equestrian uses,
Okay, equestrian uses and officer election?
officer elections. The OII to work on our response, I guess. I don't know where we,
Yeah.
we should probably at least talk about it and tell the public to come to that meeting.
Okay, anything else?
What is the
I can think of-
officer election again?
Oh,
Created or dealt with or whatever having to do with those.
All the GPS stuff, they spent a lot of time on that.
Yes, they did. And I don't know exactly what's in those boxes yet because I haven't had the time to go through them. But I do have that material in case it was.
Well, I would be, I don't know how to delve into it, and maybe Alvadosa can give a hand with this, because I know they were part of it. But, if we've already asked them to put a bunch of these GPS trails on the map and they refused, which is my understanding, that a lot of the mapped trails didn't end up on the map. And some of the places where they mapped are not, they mapped, for example, on the north side of Soledad, it's a 15, 20-foot wall, 2 feet, and then asphalt pavement. That's actually a map back on a trail. It's really dangerous. So I can't believe that the GPS people would have put that there, but that's where the trail ended up. So just east of Crown Valley, where you go on, I don't mean Soledad, I meant Sierra Highway. You go on Sierra Highway where, where Dick Morris, in that area where Dick Morris used to live.
Yeah.
Anyway, so.
Here, Acton Canyon.
Yeah, and it's a big wall, and it's literally 2 feet, and that's part of the map trail on their map.
Well, I don't know what happened to the Darrell Redmond Trail either, because that was a pretty clear indication, and that was supposedly adopted.
It's on the north side. Oops, it's on the south side.
Yeah.
Oh, it's on the north side.
That's right.
Wherever the development is, it's on the other side.
It was supposed to be, and my understanding at the time, and I was there for the dedication, it was supposed to be on the south side and run all the way from the park and all the way around.
Dedicated on the south side, yeah.
Yeah.
But Parks and Rec says it's on the north side. Unless there's development on the north side, and then it's on the south side. I have got emails.
I'll have to go back in my records, and because I remember Darrell couldn't be there because he was already pretty sick, but there was a dedication.
Supervisor Antonovich came up.
And Antonovich was there, and everybody spoke highly of all the people involved, and it was wonderful, and it was very clear then where it was and what it was for. But that's all been clouded and.
Well, because the map is actually in the middle of the road. That reminds me, we did get an invitation, I should have put on the announcement, to go to the handing of the gavel from Mayor Hahn to Mayor Barger. A reception, we were supposed to RSVP by Wednesday if we want to go. It's in Los Angeles, but we didn't invite us, so. I will take that and forward it to all of you guys. I should probably ask Chuck about it if she really wants us there, but the reception for transferring the gavel between supervisor, was that like a genuine invitation?
It's always changed.
I bet
I have to wake up at 4:30 tomorrow to get down to the,
Oh, is it tomorrow?
It's tomorrow.
Oh, then we missed the time, deadline.
Yeah.
Never mind then.
You have some pull now, you are woman of the year, you can probably
Right?
push your way.
What?
Extensions.
Yeah, it's probably not the venue for my rant.
Will there be cake?
Okay, so follow up on CSD trails at the next meeting as well.
Okay.
And I'll follow up with Metro.
We do have Ally from Waste Management here. Is there anything you wanted to, any announcements or anything?
It's not really an announcement, but it's not going to be like
really happy news, but just be aware of the weather and any service delays that might come up. We always err on the side of safety. So if you think, oh, well, my truck can get up this hill, why can't the trash truck get up there? We get that a lot. It's like, well, the trash trucks are a lot heavier, and then when we get a complaint that the trash truck's stuck or something happened because of weather, then, you know, so just be aware of that. You guys have my contact information. I'm happy to pass it out to any of you if you do have a question, or if you really, really think that your trash could have been picked up or something like that, we can try to figure out a solution for you.
There was notification. I know my road is kind of slippery slidey, and I did get a phone call from Waste Management saying that there might be a delay, and there was, which was fine. There was no problem, but it was nice to have that call.
Yeah, and we do put out calls, but that's only if you have updated numbers on your account, which a lot of people don't, and they say, well, I didn't get a call, and it's like, well, that was my grandma's number from wherever, so make sure your account's updated.
At least it's not like Ben's where they just did it next week. They didn't pick it up the next day or two. The roads are dry, they just picked up the next following week. And you still paid for it.
Yeah.
And they didn't pick you up the trash.
But if something does happen, please feel free to reach out, please.
Hey, Chuck, I have a related question. Did the county, what was the connection, or whatever the right word is, between the county and Edison on PSPS getting the word out? Because, you know, at first, you had to sign up for an alert from Edison, and you would just get an alert, you're about to lose power, you may lose power. And if you weren't signed up, there was no community-based notification. They were relying on, they were notifying county agencies, and then you had to take the impetus to put the information out and pick a shovel, but if you didn't know what pick a shovel
so
was.
they were telling us, and somehow I and Donna got on the list, and so they were notifying us about Ventura County outages, all sorts of outages. And so I just, when I could figure out what was going on and when it was going to happen, I started sending it out to the town council just to make sure you had got notice, because we had a couple of calls from people saying, I never heard about it. Did you sign up with Edison? Yes, I did, but we didn't get a notice, and I never did figure out what that was all about. But yeah, they were.
So did they? So they didn't have a coordinated plan with you, like, okay, we're going to send this information to the county, and you're going to.
That with me. I don't know what they did with, say, the county office of emergency management. I don't know if they had something with them. I just know that the notices started showing up last summer in my email, and they were for the first, I don't know, 20 of them, I think, nothing ever happened. I don't know, were you getting them back then? No. Yeah, so, and they're saying there's a possibility of a PSPS on such and such a circuit, and usually with shovel, and so.
And I would send you those emails, it's like, I can't even tell what shovel is, and it would capture, it said, in its notice, it said shovel is, don't say white feathers. And most of shovel is Acton. And so people would read that and actually like, oh, we're good, and they're not.
So there was another one that they would call Palmdale. It was really like downtown Acton. It was right at Consolidate and Grand Valley. And so they were kind of confused about what that, but no, we just started getting those. And I got excited about the first couple of those, and then nothing happened until October. And then we had that. One day it was a Thursday or Friday, and it knocked off everything from Crown Valley westward and up Hubbard. We started getting calls, and that's when I started trying, whenever I could, to let you guys know.
So if there was some sort of concerted effort between Edison and the county, you call it the County Office of Emergency.
I think it's the Office of Emergency Management. I don't know. I just know that they were involved in all the fire reactions.
But did the Office of Emergency Management have any mechanism then to let the people know?
I don't know.
They have the reverse, like 911 thing where they put the push notifications on your cell phone.
But they didn't do that.
They talked about that on the last meeting, about possibly exploring that. The only thing is with that, it's not like they can't just be like, here's a push notification because there might be a power outage. And that's usually reserved for like, hey, there's a fire in your area and you need to get the heck out, you know, kind of thing. So we don't want them.
So what I'm getting at is there was, Edison checked the box by letting the county agencies know, and the emergency response agencies.
It could be, I don't know.
But they're not, but well, I think they did let them know, but they aren't the people who are affected by it. So there's an enormous gap. And I'm just trying to understand.
And I don't
what
know
kind
how
of-
they would notify everybody.
How would that, how would I find out what the county did or Edison did to help the county bridge the gap between agency notification and
And the
actual?
people and the actual residents and
Yes, how do I
businesses,
find out about that?
I'd contact the Office of, I think it's Office of Emergency Management.
That's what I'll do.
And if I can, I'm down there tomorrow, but I can come up with a contact, I'll send you.
I would really appreciate
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
because understanding that is really essential.
Yeah, and
To the system.
I don't know how we'll notify everybody when fire's coming. I just don't know, other than
So like
definitely
for,
driving on a patrol car on this last
for,
week.
for that, for the last tick fire, I mean, obviously we had evacuations going, but just being in the fire zone, my phone started blowing up with the evacuation notice when they started pushing out like the actual, whatever the federal, I forgot what the name of it is, but that federal
Oh, the
system.
phone?
Yeah,
Like when the
yeah,
fire's going?
yeah.
Yeah, except for
yeah.
a lot of people's
Oh.
phones weren't working because of cell
The
phones.
cell phone tower, yeah, and that's the other issue, obviously. But I know that just being in the fire zone, my phone wouldn't stop. Like it kept on saying, hey, you're in an evacuation zone, get out now, kind of thing.
Do those seem pretty accurate? Like,
That's good.
Yeah, no, it was accurate.
Generators for the cell phone towers?
I'm scared of Big Brother, but.
You want to say again? Are they gonna start putting generators at the cell
Oh,
phone?
I thought Edison said that that's, FCC requires the towers phone companies to be, so it's on them.
So I
I
brought
thought that's
that,
what Edison said.
I brought that up with Jim, their security consultant.
Jim,
Edison's.
Edison's security?
Yeah, they have a security consultant that we've been emailing. Let's see, what's his name? Bullington. And telling him like how there was battery backups, because they all have battery backups, but obviously because they're not.
12 hours.
Yeah, 12 hours, some of them were less, I think. I know ours was like 6 hours and the cell phones were done.
Oh,
So, but that's also use, like how often are these batteries replaced, like how, do they get depleted all the way down, they have memories on those batteries, there's a lot of factors. But they supposedly get the notification just like the county does. And I stressed how important it is, and he agreed that they need to get generators to those locations quicker, because once they did get a generator to our local cell phone tower, our phones came back. So they ran out of juice.
when you say our, you mean your community
Yeah.
you live, not a sheriff's department?
No. So
In Santa Clarita or
Yeah.
County? Okay.
So that was one of the issues, and so when I brought that up to him, he's like, he wasn't aware of that, so he said they're gonna change the wording on their notifications too, like, because I don't think they can force them to, but like, hey, make sure that you get your generators out, kind of thing, like, not just.
To the cell phone companies? Okay, so the plan is for Edison to tell the cell phone companies to get your generators going,
Yeah,
but not to provide generators.
no.
And so situations which I have found, going through the records, when they said, shutdown notice averted, you're all clear, and then 20 minutes later, the shutdown happened,
Yeah,
that it's impossible to do that.
yeah. So like Edison had, or not Edison, AT&T and Spectrum had their own generators at the little substations going, so they all provide their own. It's not like Edison's like got their stuff plugged in.
Okay. All right, Chuck, I would really, if you have a contacted, because we need to
Yeah,
understand where the bridge is being connected to people
Yeah,
who just
I
make
can't
a
work my way through.
They have a power outage.
I'll get you one, yeah.
Thank
They
you
should
very
put
much.
the standby generators in like a propane tank, so it's there permanently, so it's, when the car goes off, they come on automatically. Have to bring the generator in and plug it in.
I would agree. They should just not cut the power.
I think the town council should start a generator business and sell it.
Somebody was. Who was the guy who was buying generators and putting them on a parking lot?
Yeah, exactly.
Someplace.
Generates guy, he's an electrician too, he's just making good money. So,
Okay.
Meeting adjourned.
awesome.
Okay, thank you.